There, the mic's on now. It's kind of hot down here. I turned the fan off so you guys don't have to listen to the fan. But unfortunately, that means I'm a little warm. So I actually rearranged the space here. Hang on a second. Is that better? I need to get a little bit of fill. A little bit of fill. That'll work, I think. So the workbench was on the west wall, and now it's on the north wall, which is good because the north wall's longer. Which means the green screen, I actually have room for it now. So the green screen's across the back here, obviously. And the my display case is right here. And I still got a mess. A couple of my guitars are over here. And the shelves are up here now. And anyway, so, yeah. Enough of that. So we're gonna work on the Corsair here. This Corsair, as opposed to the other Corsair. And I think I still have another one of these. I just about cut my finger off there. You know, after you play with scalpels for a while, these don't seem so dangerous. That's all right. So, what are we gonna do? So I have this. I think that's my wife's memory card out of her phone. My wife's phone died over the weekend, the battery, so she has the battery out of my phone, which means I don't have a phone, which is okay. It doesn't matter. Alright, so let me flip the screen here and we'll get started. There we are. As you notice, I'm on this side now. No, I'm not. I'm on this side. Yeah. And there's reasons for that. Well, I could actually move it, but I want to see how this works, and if this doesn't work real well, we'll flip it back. But who knows? Let's see here. And am I streaming or am I not streaming? Am I streaming? I'm streaming. Okay. And I didn't change the title. Oh well, we'll do that. Actually, let me do that right now. Because today is going to be Corsair weathering. Oh, wait a minute. What happened? Oh, because I got to change it here, doofus. Bear with me. Now, if you've been around, you probably noticed that I finished the C-47 and I finished the F-16. And now I finished this Corsair, which was pretty much finished in the first place, but anyway. And because that's the way I tend to do. That's the way it just works for me. I usually end up with a whole bunch of stuff that's kind of done and kind of not, and then all of a sudden I end up finishing a whole bunch of it all at one time, and that's okay. So let's see. I got to get my. Oh, there's Jeff. Jeff's here. Yay! Okay, so here's the Corsair. I'm gonna put my Tamiya stand in there. Wow, it's really sucking hot in here. Um, so for those of you who don't know, let's talk about this first. This is the Tamiya F4U12 kit, 48 scale kit. I could have done a better job on this. I kind of blew it in a couple of places, mainly the wing fold area. But that's okay. It's a pretty good kit. It has some issues, but it's not bad. It goes together pretty well. The wing folds kind of suck. There's some punch marks in the wheel wells. The cockpit's pretty nice. And I know this camera's up higher now, so I'm trying to deal with that. So I got to retrain myself, you know. And at my age, retraining just doesn't work that well. Okay, so anyway, so the sliding portion of the canopy is not glued in. It is just setting there in the grooves. But you know, I want to talk about the decals for a second. So what happened? The decals. I've been using the Tamiya Mark Fit lately, and I like it, and it seems to work pretty well. It didn't work that great on these. It did to a point, but then they just wouldn't lay down anymore. So I had to get on it with the excuse me, Microsaw. Sorry. I literally just finished dinner. That's why I was late. And then the Microsaw kind of did the job. Because it does, right? I mean, you know, it's like anything else in the world nowadays. You pick up something that's, you know, been around for 60 years and hey, it still works. Imagine that. Right? Okay. So what are we going to do? Some of you probably know what these are, and some of you probably don't. These are pastel chalks. These are not oil pastels. You do not want to use oil pastels. And this is a piece of 120 grit sandpaper. And you want a soft brush. A couple of soft brush. Actually, I have this one that's really soft. And so what we're going to do is basically use these chalks to do oil stains and grease stains and whatnot. Something to keep in mind with these aircraft, what I'm going for here is a marine aircraft like out of Guadalcanal, Cactus Air Force type aircraft. The dead giveaway that it's a land-based Corsair is it doesn't have an arrestor hook. They took them off, at least in some cases, as far as I can tell. So there's no arrestor hook. I cut that off when I was building it. So the Marine Corps aircraft that were on Guadalcanal, as an example, were pretty tore up. They got pretty tore up pretty quick. And so you can go pretty crazy with your weathering and with the fading and all of that kind of stuff. What I've got on here is, well, I mean, let me continue with that. So you can be pretty off on your base colors, and it doesn't really matter because these things just got the salt, between the salt water and the sun, they just got tore up. And the coral would literally blast the paint off the things. And then and then it would rain and it would turn that stuff to mud. And I've seen pictures of armorers loading 5-inch rockets on wing racks on Corsairs, and the bottom of the wing is just covered in mud. And they're apparently not really that worried about knocking it off. I mean, I guess it would come off. But so yeah, so it's kind of interesting. So anyway, so with this particular thing, you know, being that you're talking about a coral island, really you're just wanting grays, and maybe some sand color here, yellow ochre or something. Maybe this one. So there. And yeah, I've used this piece of sandpaper lots of times, and I'm not worried about cross contamination of colors. It doesn't matter. So let's see. Let me get this out of here. I'm not going to use that. So all you do, you got your 120 grit here. Put some white over here. And we'll put some light gray here. And some dark gray here. And some of this yellow. And some black. We got black over here. Okay? That's it. Some of you might probably know this is pretty old school, and that's okay. So what's on here right now is so the center section, the lower color is Model Master Dark Gold Gray. I'm not really convinced that's right. I think that's a little too dark. But it's fine. It'll work. And the outer wing panels, as well as the top side, are Model Master Medium Gray, the 35-237. This, you know, the thing with grays is they're all gray. so you can kind of mess around with them quite a bit. And I'm gonna use a cotton swab here too. So the trick here is to put these on and then make sure you don't touch them before you seal them. But you also have to realize your seal coat is really going to dull them down, so you have to totally overdo it. And you won't really understand that until you do it. You know, you get it, and you think it's all great and whatnot, and you flat coat it, and 70% of it just disappears, and you're like, what the hell happened? So I'm telling you that so that you know, so that you can plan for that. So I'm going to do a couple of things here. So the first thing what I like to do is I'm going to take this really beat up brush here, and I'm going to get this white and this light gray together, and I'm just going to come in here and do this and just start brushing it in here, and you're not going to see a whole lot. Actually, I'm going to go more white here. There we go. And I know it looks like I'm just covering this thing with baby powder. but that's okay. It'll all work out in a wash, so to speak. Okay, so here's some of that yellow. We'll put some of that in here too. And the yellow is really good to put on the tires. That looks really good. I like it. But see how subtle it is? That's way too subtle. You got to get really crazy with it. And I know it looks like I'm using a lot of this, but I've had these pastels for a long time. Looks like I bought them in 1999. And to be fair, I've had others too, so whoa. Oh, that landing gear is a little loose. I'm gonna have to put some more glue in there at some point. Okay, so there's all that yellow on there, and that looks pretty good. I like that. Now that we got that done, that was simple. You see how simple that was? I mean, that was simple. That wasn't hard at all. I'm still concerned that it's not harsh enough. And it's really hard for me to get this across on the camera, because I will guarantee you're not seeing you're not seeing this like I am. So, but there's not really much I can do about that. Okay, so there's that. So now what I need to do and notice that I'm always going in the direction of wind flow. That's important, that you always go in the direction of airflow. So, now what? Let me put some of this in here. I'm putting some black on the gear just to get some contrast in there. Okay, so here's the deal. This stuff is not set. As I said, you can't touch it because it's just chalk, right? Something I should have mentioned in the beginning, this is a flat surface. This is actually, there's no this is just the enamel flat paint. I put the decal straight on the flat paint, and then I've just so there's no clear coat on it at all. But the point is the chalk won't really grab a gloss coat. So you have to do this on a flat paint so that it has something to grip to. Now, these are the exhausts. So we definitely got to come in here and do some exhaust stuff in here, right? And you can see how subtle this gets, how subtle this effect can be. Which is good because you know, it can be subtle or not so subtle. It just depends on. So now I'm going to go with some of this dark gray here over the black. And then go back to the black. And I'm just letting it happen. Now what I should do is I should go look at a reference photo and see where these go exactly. I'm not that worried about it. I'm really not that worried about it. So there's that. Again, come back in here with the dark gray. Okay. And then I'm going to get some more of the yellow here. Okay. Now, as I was saying, now we're ready to flip it. Ready to flip it over. And what you need to do, realize you're dealing with chalk and it's not set. So one, you don't want to touch what you've already done. And two, you can't put it back on the stand because the stand will rub the chalk off. So you need to set it down on its tires. Okay, so I'm going to grab it by the vertical stabilizer. I'm going to move my stand out of the way. And I'm going to set it down. Now, I'm going to come over here. I'm going to take all my clamps off of my other stand here. Wipe this thing off. And put it on my other stand. If you don't have some kind of a stand, I would highly recommend that you find something that will work for you. And the reason is you need to be able to turn this thing around. I mean, you're mainly going to work at it from the back side, but whoops, wrong one. You do need to be able to turn it. Now we're going to need more white because the sun is on the top side, right? The bottom doesn't get so much sun, the top does. Okay. So, you're going to see here, so this is the Model Master Medium Gray. I'm just going to start with white here and start going back. And I don't know if you could see how stark that is. But a lot of times on these Pacific aircraft, I will just go straight white. I don't have a problem with that at all. I think it works, and it looks just fine. A lot of those islands were like pink coral, from what I understand, and so yeah. If you're wondering what this is I had a piece of masking tape on here when the windscreen wasn't sitting all the way down flush. So I had to put a piece of tape on it to keep it flush with the sliding portion of the canopy, and in the process of doing that, when I took the tape off, it took some of the masking off. So I just put some of this stuff in there, this stuff right here, to cover that piece of glass that got uncovered. Okay. Now on the sides, you can get away with doing vertical strokes. And the reason you can get away with that is because when it rains, it washes it down the sides of the aircraft. That said, I don't recommend doing it. My recommendation is go front to back, just like everything else. Now I got to be kind of careful here because this platform is just barely big enough for this aircraft, and this thing wants to fall off. And I don't want that to happen, so I'm being pretty careful. Okay, so there we go. All right, so that's the yellow. That's okay. Now what? Jeff, did you win your auctions? All of those models, you're going to end up like me with 200 models and like 10 years left to live. I laugh. I shouldn't laugh. We've had some interesting times here lately. We had my wife, she has part of being a teacher at her school is you have to be a bus monitor too. And their bus driver died last year of a heart attack. Very sad. My wife teaches kindergarten and pre-K at a Montessori school, and so she has his daughter this year in her class. So that's kind of sad for her. But so how did I get off on that? Oh, because of the number of kids you have and how much life you have left to live. Yeah, we never really know, do we? Then another friend of ours, we just found out, passed away, and I just saw the guy. He worked for Pepsi, and so he was the guy, that stocked the shelves at the store. And I mean, young guy, 43 years old, and come, like, oh, my wife sees a note that says, service or whatever, or celebration of life. That's what it is. Celebration of life, such and such a date. And she's like, what? You know anything about this? And I'm like, no, I just saw him the other day. And so anyway, the point is you never know. And then I had a dental appointment this week, and the dentist, who is a friend of mine, not that that matters, is digging around on my mouth and said twice at least, well, he's digging around in my mouth because I had these two teeth that needed to come out, and he's all, what did he say? He's looking at it, and you know how people are really intense, and he's really intense. He's looking at it, and he's like, I don't know how this didn't kill you. I don't know why this didn't kill you. And I'm like, thinking to myself, okay, that's not what he meant. And then he said it again, and I was like, I guess that is what he meant. And apparently my body had blocked this. So there was this infection, and my body apparently blocked it in, built a wall around. He says for some reason my body built a wall around it and contained it, which is wonderful, but scary. So I don't know that my wife is extremely happy with me. Not that I did that on purpose, but I let it go for a long time. Because as I'm sure most fathers would do, is you just kind of suck it up and make sure everybody else in the family gets what they need. And if there's anything left over at the end of the day, you get what you need, right? That's the way it works. So yeah. So basically I've had two people, relatively young people, that I know croak in the last 6 months. Croak. That was really respectful, huh? And then, I basically get told that it could have been me, pretty much. So yeah, it's kind of sucks, kind of scary. I remember thinking I was invincible. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but it was. Kind of miss being invincible. I miss the evil empire, amongst other things. Okay, so there's that, pretty good. And I just realized I forgot to put powder blasts on the bottom. Wow, that sucks. Okay, so I'm going to do this. So all I'm doing is I'm taking some of this black chalk and I'm putting the tip of this thing in a hole for the barrel, and just spinning it in the hole. And it sounds like a waste of time, but it's very subtle and it looks really good. Looks really good when you do. And if you go outside the lines, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay, just like that. That looks good there. So let me see if I can, what can I do here? Hang on a second, let me try something. That didn't really change, did it? Oh, yeah, it did. I'm looking at the wrong screen. Hang on a second. Flip my screen back. Getting out of bed. Yeah. I'll tell you a story here. Let me I want to see if you get, so you can't really, okay. Does that show you better the, not really, huh? How's that? Well, I guess you can kind of see around this area. The point I'm trying to make here is there is a lot of white chalk on this thing. A lot. And like I said, you have to do that because when you put that flat coat on there, it's going to tone this stuff way, 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 way down. Way down. Did I say way down? Way down. And I cannot emphasize that enough. But honestly, it's just something you have to deal with. I mean, you just have to do it 100 times until you figure out what to do. So right now, this thing is as far as I can take it. There's nothing more. Nothing more that I can do with this until I put a flat coat on it. And there's two things that happen when you put the flat coat on it. First of all, not only does the coating make a lot of this go away, because it's an aerosol, it also blows some of it off. So, if you're in here like I am and blowing on it and stuff, that's fine. Don't worry about that because the spray can is going to do that anyway. And yeah, I use this. This is the new can, but there's a bunch of different cans. But I use Testor's Dull Coat Lacquer, out of the spray can. I've been doing this I'm 53. I started when I was 6. I started painting when I was like 16. So, bottom line is, this is the way to go. Yeah, you can get a bottle and you can airbrush it and blah, 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 blah. And it's cheaper and blah, 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 blah. But you know what? Shake it, spray it, done. Flat. It comes out flat as can be. I saw a post this week. Somebody was asking about dull coat, and somebody said, I can never get it to go flat. And I'm thinking, what are you doing wrong? Because this stuff has worked for 50 flipping years at least, and it works fine. So what are you doing wrong, dude? You're doing something wrong, plain and simple. So anyway, so that is that. So I got to put all my stuff back. And here's my other pack that is just, so I have a pack that's multi-color. You want earth tones. So I have earth tones, and then I have grays, a pack that's grays and blacks. And as you can tell, you mainly use the lighter colored stuff. But anyway. Oh, let's catch up on comments here. So, yes, all but one, let it go. So you got 3 of your 4 auctions, is that what you're saying? All the stuff I used to do, and now it hurts for me to do it, like getting out of bed. Yeah, that's right. Had a guy go out and work constantly because he strained his back reaching for a donut while we were in a meeting. I actually strained my back last night or night before, turning around in the car seat from the front seat to hand my son something in the back seat. And I got to that point where I could feel it start pulling, and I was like, oh no, we're not going any further than that. But anyway, so the story I was going to tell you is, talking to an old friend of mine on the phone one day. I think I just turned 50 or something or whatever. And I'm like, I don't really feel any different. And then I started saying something, something about, oh yeah, I got up this morning and my foot was aching, something along those lines. A couple of comments about this was aching and that's aching. And he's laughing, and I'm not catching on because that's the way I am. And I'm like, what? And he's like, you're sitting here telling me you don't feel any different than you did 30 years ago, but you're complaining about everything that hurts. And I'm like, okay, I get your point. I get your point. So anyway, back to where we're at here. So there's that, and if it wasn't 8:30 or whatever at night, I could take this out and spray the flat coat on it, and it's done. It's ready for the case. Not that I have any more room in this case. I have to really tighten things up in there. Well, there's some room on the bottom, but yeah. So it's really that simple, and that really took no time at all, no time whatsoever. Which is the way it should be, right? I mean, I'm all about quick and dirty and making it look good. I'm not. I know that, there's some of you guys out there that love spending months and months and months on these things. I'm not you. I'm not that guy. I got lots of these that I want to build. And I like to put them together, and I like to paint them and stuff, but for me it's the whole thing, and then I like putting it on the shelf. But yeah, is that where it is? That's where it is. So you can probably see how white the wing roots are there near the roots. The national insignia are really dulled down. The horizontal stabilizers are really whited out. So what I'll do is I'll leave this alone, and I will flat coat it tomorrow. Because if I go and flat coat it tonight, it's not that I can't flat coat it in the dark. I have to do this outside because it's lacquer. If I do this in here, I'll be feeling really good. and it's not. Believe me, I'm polluted enough. I can't really work with resin without a respirator and without gloves on, because my body's pretty much saturated with resin from building boats. And that's not really a fun thing, but it is what it is. So the problem with doing it at night around here is if I flat coat this sucker, even as fast as this stuff dries, I'll get a bug. A bug will land on it. I'll have a freaking mosquito or something in the clear coat, and that'll just make me unhappy. So it will sit here until I get home from work tomorrow, and then I'll flat coat it and be on my merry way. But yeah, so what's next? Well, so this is done. So that's what, like 3 in the last week, or 3 in the last 2 weeks anyway. So this will be done. I still got to work on the Coral Sea. The good news on the Coral Sea is it's ready for, I think, the final primer coat. And then I've got some what's this? Oh, there we go. Then I've got some I don't know what I got over there. I got that P47 over there. Yeah, I'm thinking about that, taking that P47 Razorback and actually making it an air racer, putting like a number on the side or something, just to do something different. But we'll see. I may or may not do that. But yeah, the Coral Sea's got to get done. I want to get that P47 done, and I spent some of today putting some of my books in shelves, getting some of my books and stuff out of the garage, where they've been in storage for like 6 years or 7 years, and putting them on my bookshelf. And I found like my grandmother's yearbooks from like 1925 and stuff in there, which was interesting. Some old mystery novels that I gave to my daughter. She really loves mystery novels, but none of this has anything to do with any of this stuff. But other than the fact that I'm getting my reference books and stuff, and and which is cool because I got a lot of books that I forgot I had. But so I'm getting all the junk off of those shelves, so I can put my books on them. So in order to get the junk off the shelves, I'm finishing them. That's kind of what's driving me. And a lot of erasers, they race over here and shoot this Russian down, then they race over there to shoot that Russian down. Yeah. So that's about it for right now. And I know I've done this before and I've talked about this before, but I was ready. That was all that this thing needed, and I figured it was a really good chance to just do this again and go through it again. So yeah. It looks like Nats was pretty good. Seems like people are getting back into their normal swing of things now. And it looks like Ken got his P61's really close to being done over there, so that's good. And it looks really, really, really nice. Ken has much more patience than I do. That's hard to believe. That thing's 1/72 scale. That's pretty amazing. If you haven't seen it, go over the ShutterAce Spring Night Fighter build on Facebook and look at the latest post, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's pretty nice. There's really nothing else going on. Oh, the 1950s build over on Average Joe's. It looks like there's quite a bit of stuff going on over there. And I think that's it. That's all I can think of. I think I mentioned this last week. I'm actually... The ShutterAce.com website has just kind of been out there in the ether. I haven't really been doing anything with it. We're turning that into a store. It's going to have... It'll probably have some ShutterAce stuff on it, but but really the main drive behind it is going to be... like memorabilia and stuff, T-shirts, hats, jackets, stuff like that. With and most of it will be aircraft oriented, but it's modeling related in some fashion, and. So that'll be fun. That's that. And then I've got some other stuff that's going on too. So that's enough. I'm just running through minutes right now. At this point, I've become nothing but a TSU. And if you don't know what a TSU is, I'll tell you. It's a time-sucking unit. If you didn't know what that was, you do now. And TSUs are easily recognizable for people that are trying to get stuff done. So I'm not going to be a TSU anymore. I'm going to get out of here. So that's it. I hope that was helpful. And we'll see you next week at least. Take care of the people you love. Bye.